Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, another Miami Heat UK live pre-game streaming show. Here tonight to preview the game against the Washington Wizards. Let's introduce the cast. Friday night, always a little bit thin at the weekends, but look at my guys here. Sam Aquara, how are you, sir?
Busy week, but I'm glad to see basketball on a Friday.
Yes, sir, absolutely. James Stone, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. Yes. I don't know, actually. I mean, it's weird. It's weird, isn't it? Because I don't know. You coming off of that Raptors loss, a strange game because both teams very depleted. But Sam, let's get right into it because we was missing players, they was missing players. But even if both teams were at full strength, the best player on the court would have been Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy off of a very good game against the Suns, a game-winning defensive block, and a good performance. Then put in one of his shrug your shoulders type games. And I don't disrespect in any way Jimmy Butler because he's made this franchise relevant again. He's one of the best postseason players this team has ever seen. But we do see these games a little bit where it's almost just phoned in. And when you need your star in a depleted team where you haven't got your Bam and you haven't got your Tyler, you rely on Jimmy to pick the pieces up, team on his back, and go for it because that's you're playing against another weakened team. Is it wrong? Am I wrong to criticise? Is it just part and parcel of the regular season? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think that's the issue we have. We're so spoiled with Jimmy Butler that we forget that he's human at times. So we're spoiled with the superhuman performances in the playoffs, early seasons. But we should remember that he's allowed to have a game like this because it happens. It's basketball. We can't expect him to be 100% every single game. And it just goes to show that when Jimmy has these games, we need someone else to step up. Unfortunately, Bam was away, but we just didn't have what else we needed to pull us through to win that game.
Yeah, and I think that's the only reason why it was a little bit frustrating because I totally get you. Yes, you can't rely on Superman to just come through and be excellent every game. But when you've got Cole who had a good game, yeah, he didn't rip the stat sheet up, but he never does. But he played well. He hit some big shots. Gabe Vincent was brilliant. He was the catalyst of the comeback when things were going wrong. Max was good again. Caleb was okay. He was Caleb. So if Jimmy would have just been proper Jimmy again, that game was probably won. I mean, all right, look, like I said, we don't like to criticise. He is incredible. It just there was frustration there because that was a very winnable game. James, you're not going to win many games though when you turn the ball over 23 times. A season high 23 times. We equaled the season high 20 with pretty much an entire quarter to go. So you've got to look after the rock a bit easier than that. Again, out rebounded ridiculously, second chance points, ridiculous again, the same stories. But for me, what pissed me off the most was that 21-0 run. I mean, we was up, I think, half a dozen at the half, so nothing big, just manageable game. We was playing quite well, but we was up by about 11 late on in the third. And then that run that came, they then went on that 21-0 run. Although we got some momentum back, that's soul destroying, not only for the team when you put in all that effort, but to just, again, it related to the turnovers. It was just, I think we had 5 possessions on a row, offensive possession in a row, where we ended up with a turnover. You're not going to get very far, are you, with those sort of stats?
No, you're not. And that killed the game for us. It did. You're right. We were up by 11. And within a matter of minutes, they were up by 10. And that's just insane. And that completely and utterly shifted the entire momentum with them because we played well in the first half. We did. We had a good first half. They had a good first half. Both teams were strong. Both teams were solid. Both teams had turnovers. We were very evenly matched. Yeah, we were up by 5 or 6 at the half, but they could have been up by 5 or 6 at the half. It was that evenly matched, but it was just when we got into the third, again, we started quite well, but we just threw it away. And it ruined the whole momentum for the game. And from that point, you could see a real shift in kind of attitude on the court. People's morale just went, and no one just seemed to have that spark they had in the first half to get the team going again. Gabe tried, Kyle tried. I mean, I've been critical of Kyle this season, but I think last night was one of his best performances because even to the dying minutes, he was really fighting for that ball. And yes, he gave the ball away. He gave 4 or 5 turnovers, but he's a point guard. The ball's in his hand 80% of the time when he's on the court, so he's going to have more turnovers. So I expect that. None of them were realistically things that you want to swear at him about. They weren't stupid. He was trying to make plays and he turned it over. It happens. But how we couldn't score in that 5 or 6 minute period, how we allowed 21 consecutive points, it flattened the game for us. And I think, like you two were saying, Jimmy was disappointing for me last night, really disappointing. He is our best player. We know that. He is our best player. ESPN ranked him 12th best player in the NBA. Last night was a game he needed to get a hold of. He needed to, no Bam, no Tyler, other 2 primary scorers. He was the player that needed to stand up and say, right, I'm not going to score 30 points every night, but I'm going to do it tonight because we need to. But he only put up 8 shots, which for Jimmy Butler is nowhere near his average. So that was really disappointing. But now seeing that he's out tonight, I'm starting to wonder, was he carrying an injury? And did he say to Spo, look, I'm going to play because there's no one else to play? And that was the performance we got because of an injury. We don't know. Yeah. Bam was the biggest loss. We've proved it all season. When we haven't got Bam in the team, we can't play. We can't defend. Everything in defense runs through him. Everything in offense runs through him. They wouldn't have got 26 second chance points with Bam on the court. They wouldn't have doubled the amount of rebounds we got with Bam on the court, because not only will he get some more rebounds, he prevents others from getting rebounds. He's one of the best box out players in the league. He will hustle people. He would have prevented a lot of that. So the 2 of them essentially not turning up is really what lost it for us.
I agree.
Just to add to that, we really missed Bam's presence on offense as well, because the shot creation in the last game was abysmal. We did fine shooting percentage-wise. We shot better than them from 3, field goal percentage, etc. But we shot almost less than 20 shots less than them. And it just goes to show that if Bam was in, Lord knows how many more shots he would have created, how many more open looks people would have gotten off dribble handoffs. But that game just really highlighted what the key weaknesses are for this team.
And with that being said, James, I'm going to come back to you in a minute and ask you about Nikola Jovic, because I know you've tweeted about his performance, and I want to get your takes on that. But Sam, staying with what you just said there, Bam's on-off. Look, we see how much what a difference he makes on court to off court, and the offensive rating especially. But second chance points, the rebounds again. At this point, even though Bam isn't the biggest center, the team incredibly lacks height, very undersized. At what point, because this is a theme every game, at what point do the Heat, or do they, look at this, cut a Highsmith or a Robinson or someone like that, and go and just get a serviceable big that will get you through this next stretch? I don't want to say his name, but Hassan Whiteside type player, someone who's sitting there just as some size, just to get you through 7 or 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, where he can just get boards for you and set up plays.
I think we need to see a few more games like the last one, a few more disappointing performances for that sort of decision to be made. Because if you think back to before that game, we had a stretch of 4 games where we're slightly undersized, but we pulled wins through. And I feel like that's the identity this team's trying to build. I don't know how sustainable it will be, but we just have to wait and see how long that would take us before hitting that panic button and trading for a big.
I get it, and but it is a theme, and even with someone like Toronto, doubled the amount of boards, rebounds that we got. They're not even a big team; they're one of the smallest teams in the league. So it's a theme. It's going to be, for every loss, you look at the stat sheet and you see where a big chunk of it comes. It's because they're getting more chances, because the second chance points, the offensive rebounds to set up more plays. It's a very similar theme. Whilst Yurtseven is out, and we don't know how long. Rumours even that Yurtseven could even be out for the season. it's not going to be pretty. So we'll see what happens. James, then let's come on to Nikola Jovic. He got his first ever start in the NBA, and he roared off to 11 points, 4 for 4 shooting, I think it was. He looks good. He looks very good. But then it tailed off. His play actually got quite sloppy. He was another victim of the turnovers. I'm not going to point any fingers at him and criticize, because it's a learning curve. But what did you make of his performance overall?
I thought it was really encouraging. His first quarter was fantastic. From a first quarter starting, like I said, he got 11 points in 8 minutes. I think he missed one shot, 2 for 2 on the free throws. He got a couple of rebounds. One thing I noticed on the game, had players have made their shots, he would have had about 8 or 9 assists, because he was really good at feeding the ball. He kept the ball moving. I was quite surprised at how good of a passer he was in watching him. I thought, from what I saw in pre-season and the limited minutes he's had, I thought he was a big guy who could shoot a free. I didn't think there was that much, but he has this kind of all-round game. He's really quick with the ball. We shifted the ball round and round and round and round. Like I said, had Strus and had Martin and had Vincent hit shots, he would have had 7 or 8 assists easily, but they missed, and a few of them were open shots, which was disappointing as well. But I thought he had a great game, and I was really, really disappointed that after the first quarter, Spo just restricted him. And I'm not really sure why, because Dedmon didn't offer anything more than what Jovic was providing. Dedmon had a good 100% shooting, I think 4 from 4, but he got 1 for 3 on the free throw, picked up a few boards. Defensively wise, they were probably on par. Dedmon didn't do a great deal. The average didn't do a great deal on defense, but he was trying. He was boxing out. He was going up for the boards. He was making it difficult for people who are obviously a lot more experienced than him. He was playing against Thaddeus Young, who's probably as old as UD. I don't know how old he is, but he seems to have been in the league forever. Going up against someone like that for rebounds as a 19-year-old kid who weighs about 5 stone by the looks of him, it can't be easy. But I thought he had a really, really good game, and I was just so disappointed that after the first quarter, I think he played the first 7 or 8 minutes and then came off, and Dedmon came in. Then he came back in the second and did another stint of about 4 minutes. But then after that, he just seemed to come on for a couple, off for a few, come on for a couple. Didn't really give him any more length of time to kind of keep his rhythm going. And I think he missed all his shots in the second quarter, in the second half. But they were so spread out because it was, he was in and out of the game so much, he couldn't really get into that rhythm. And I don't really know why. I thought Spo gave him the start, only played him for 23 minutes. The other 4 starters did over 35 minutes. I think if Jovic had done over 30 minutes, I think he would have been our top scorer of the night, because who was our top scorer? Was it Vincent with...
I think it was Gabe. Was
Gabe with about 18, 19 or something like that? I mean...
it might have been a 20-point game, and I can't remember that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Jovic was... It was better than I thought. I thought obviously that start is going to give anybody confidence. His shooting, we know, is there anyway. And I think one of the reasons that the Heat drafted him was because, you play in these Eastern European leagues, your basketball IQ is already quite an elevated level, and he showed that, a good glimpse of that. So it is promising. I think that he's got a stretch now to really prove if he can be a solid part of this rotation or even the starting unit, which is one positive to come out of all these injuries, is we're going to see prolonged minutes with him. So let's get on to tonight's game then, Sam, against the Wizards, the 8-7 Wizards. The injury report we know is horrific. We've got no Butler, no Tyler, no Oladipo, probably no Bam, and questionable also with Dedmon. What I've heard is that Bam is probably not going to be risked tonight, but Dedmon will be playing, we think. But whatever happens there, that's 3 starters, potentially even 4 if you would include Oladipo when he comes back, that are not going to be playing in tonight's game against a very healthy and quite good Washington team. Before we get on to the ins and outs of it, just off the top of your head, man, there's a dilemma here. What do we do with the starting 5? Who's going to be your starting 5 tonight?
I don't even know I can answer that, because I think Duncan Robinson might be out as well. So it's pretty tricky. It's going to be one of these games where you just put together whatever you've got and see how it goes. I would like to see more Jovic minutes. I don't know what the situation is with Orlando Robinson, but I'd like to see some minutes from him if he can play. It's just one of those games where you just let whoever play and just enjoy it and pick up wherever you can from it.
Yeah, I didn't know that Robinson has he been listed out.
I seen a tweet from, I think it's the Heat, or was it Ira, saying he might not play today.
Brady
Oh,
put it out. It's been confirmed as out.
Mm.
oh wow. Okay, so that leaves Kyle, Vincent, Max, Caleb, Deadman, hopefully, Kane, Robinson, and Jovic. That's our 8-man rotation tonight. Well, yeah, okay, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. James, let's get a bit of thought on the Wizards, because Bill Kuzma, who I know you like and I like as well, Bill Kuzma and Porzingis is a sneaky good three in the league. And don't cause anybody any problems on any night. They're a decent team now, the Wizards. They're not to be ignored. But that's a good mix of height, pace, and shooting. They're going to cause us a problem tonight.
Absolutely. I'm a massive fan of Kyle Kuzma. I'd love to see him at Miami in that number 4 spot. I think him alongside Bam and Jimmy would be incredible, but I think, unfortunately, it'll cost us too much. Beal, very talented player. Personally, I think he's overrated. He gets kind of put in these categories as of the elite, and I'm not on that kind of bandwagon with him. I've never really seen it. Porzingis, again, the unicorn. He's hit and miss. Some days he can be unplayable, and some days you'd rather he wasn't playing if you were a Washington fan. So, but yeah, as a trio, really good. They've got quite a lot of depth in that team as well. So we've just signed another player for Miami by the looks of it. So
Khan's got to get his way out to DC.
I think it's going to be a really tough game, mainly because of just how depleted we are. But we saw this last year. COVID played its part for us last year. We were winning games with G Leaguers, but we were playing G Leaguers. The difference is this year we're playing games potentially with G Leaguers, but we're not playing G League players. We're playing almost full strength NBA teams. So it's going to be a very different situation to last year. But some of these players might thrive on it. If Jovic gets extended minutes, that'd be good. If Robinson can come in and look solid, Kane can get some minutes, it'll be good for him. I think we're going to see Kyle, Vincent, Strus, Caleb playing nearly 40 minutes, and then the others dropped in where they can. But it's going to be a real tough game. Washington are a good team, but they haven't started all that well, similar to us. They're only one game ahead of us. They're unbeatable or an easily beatable team, depending on which team turns up. So you just never know.
Yeah, there's some things that we won't be able to control tonight, Sam, with that team out. We're not going to be able to stop Porzingis at 7 foot, whatever he is, off of the boards. But one thing we can do is try and look after the ball a lot better. That will be the emphasis tonight. The good thing is with players like Lowry, Caleb, Max, and Gabe, you've still got four players there that will give you a hell of a lot of hustle. And I think if we're going to any chance tonight, just to stay in it as long as we can, because you give yourself a chance. Who knows what happened down the stretch? It's got to start with the things you can control, and that's looking after the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. We got to look after the ball. We need to create more shots. We need to sink a respectable percentage of those shots as well. And we just need to stay competitive because, like you said, there's very little we can do with the lineup we've got.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Look, the Heat, before I knew about Robinson, the Heat were -6.5 on a spread. That just shows you, how severely depleted we are. As James just said there, I think we're going to see players that are in the 38, 39, even 40 minutes stints here, as we then go towards a back-to-back coming up against the Cavs and the Timberwolves. So Heat could actually do with a win or two here, and I don't see it coming tonight, but let's get some predictions. James, I'll start with you. Look,
the Heat by 20.
Heat by 20, of course. Look, the Heat, they will always give you a chance because Max, Gabe, Caleb, Kyle, they'll give you hustle. They'll give you fight. They've got that dog in them that will see us in with a chance. But we're going to need something special tonight. Is it still Heat by 20 from James Stone?
Absolutely. I think let's say someone like Kane is going to have one of those breakout games where people are going to be on the headlines tomorrow. Who is Kane? ? 28 points. The key is percentages tonight, isn't it? We will get possessions, we will get opportunities. It's about taking those opportunities. So if Max, Caleb, Gabe, Kyle can shoot their averages, then we're going to stand a chance. If we shoot like we have in a number of the games this season, then it could be, it could be a 20, 30 point loss. It really could, because there isn't a Tyler, there isn't a Bam, there isn't a Jimmy who can scrape out to keep us competitive. So we just need to be efficient and hit our numbers. And last possession, Max Strus winner by 1.
Love it, mate. Look, and you're right. Look, look, we've done so many of these streams now where we've done this sort of thing where we've gone, we're going to get lots of minutes from Kyle Guy and Gabe Vincent before he came a rotation player, and they've gone off. Like you just said, Kyle Guy had something like a 24-point game or something against the Sixers, I think it was. We saw Gabe when he was just a garbage minutes player coming in with a 25, 26-point game. So these players do seize the opportunity, and they'll be allowed to go out there and play without fear. But Sam, what do you think tonight, mate?
I actually agree with James. Before he actually gave his prediction, I was going to say Heat by 1. I think it's going to be an absolute slugfest. It's going to be reminiscent of the kind of games we had in, was it 2017, the second half of the season, that 30-11, where it was just collective. Everyone's pushing their weight, just being aggressive, slugging out for every single loose ball. And it's going to be a win which the team fully deserve because they're going to work hard for it.
Guys, I love it. You've actually turned me around. I'm now suddenly excited for this game. You've hyped me up. Look, the Heat say it. We have enough. That's what they say. That's what they get. Everyone will go in there hyped for a big performance. Max Strus recently got a season high 8 3-pointers. Tonight he's going to beat it, guys. He's going to get 9, and he's going to go off for 38. He's got 38 points. He's gonna go mad. So look, I was down, but you guys have hyped me up. So I'm gonna go for a Heat win by 5. There you go. Brilliant stuff, guys. Thank you very much for picking me up again because I was not feeling this game. But the good news is it's a relatively early tip, midnight tip tonight. It's a Friday night. A lot of people, I've got work tomorrow, but a lot of other people haven't. Stay up and enjoy it with us at the Miami Heat UK. To follow us on Twitter. We will be back Sunday. Hopefully, I might not be there, but I'll see if I can get Ollie to fill in for some hosting duties. But if we don't, then we'll see you next week. Hopefully, discussing a Heat win. Enjoy the game, guys. Let's go Heat.